Have you ever spent hours or days on YouTube video, but it only resulted in a few views and maybe no subscribers? If you don't get the click, then nobody's going to watch your video and you'll have wasted all that time. So on today's live stream, I'm going to be talking about how to make an amazing thumbnail and show you some of the tools that you can use, free and paid, so you can get that click and then people can watch your video, because YouTube says that a high click-through rate and a high watch time will increase the probability of your video being pushed out in search and suggested. So that's why I kind of focused on this topic, because the high click-through rate is comprised of mostly of the thumbnail, but also of the title and the topic. My name's Herman Drost, and my channel is all about how to grow your audience on YouTube so you can generate traffic, leads, and sales on autopilot. And over the years, my thumbnails have got a little better. So I think even if you're not a great designer, that the more you practice and the more you observe, top channels that have great thumbnails, then you can begin to see patterns that you can use in your own thumbnail. Today, we're going to look at that and also look at impressions, look at YouTube analytics, and then also look at some thumbnail mistakes, some best practices, and also some tools. Take a look at some of these benefits of the thumbnail. Probably most of you know the benefits, but most of all, it helps decide if viewers are going to watch your video because it's the first thing that they see. Usually what happens is, particularly in the terms of search and suggested, people are going to enter their search query into the search engine, and then they're going to look at, the first 5 or 10 thumbnails that gets their eye, gets their attention. And if they're watching a video and they see thumbnails on the right side of the watch page, which are suggested videos, then also, based upon their browsing behavior, if something really catches their eye that is related to the video that you've just watched, then they'll click on that thumbnail. So it's, in some way, it's very tough because you're competing for the attention based upon all the creators in your niche. So that's why creating a great thumbnail, it doesn't necessarily have to be fancy, which we'll talk about later, but it could even be an ugly thumbnail. But if it really stands out from the others, then that could grab your attention rather than a really fancy thumbnail. So boost discovery, search, suggested, and browse. It can, once you get that click, it can attract more viewers, more subscribers. And also, if your video has that high click-through rate, has the high watch time, then YouTube will push it out to a wider audience, which means it gets more impressions. It'll show those impressions. So impressions basically refers to your thumbnail being surfaced to a wider audience, and in some impressions click-through rate means that people are clicking on your thumbnail and then watching the video. There are a few examples. I asked for examples in my Facebook group. It didn't get many examples, but here are some of my examples of high click-through rates. So this shorts videos currently got a click-through rate 11.1%. Now the average click-through rate is between 2 and 10%. So 11.1% is pretty high, and that video is probably generating about 1,200, I think 1,200 views every 24, 48 hours. And then I got the block ads one, which is 7.6% click-through rate. That one's also doing very well. So all these ones I'm showing you are getting continuous traffic. And then this other one, 9.7%, is click-through rate. That's also, close to 10%, is also doing well currently. And then this other one, it's not my video, but someone from the Facebook group posted it, and how to neutral antique finish in acrylic paint. So I don't know so much about it, but I think it's a fairly small channel. But I thought the thumbnail is very enticing and interesting, even though it has a lot of text on it, but it's getting 20.8% click-through rate. Now, just keep in mind that a high click-through rate doesn't necessarily mean that your video is successful, but because the click-through rate's made up of the topic, so it has to be an interesting topic, has to be a great title, and I think the topic would be almost primary, but the thumbnail is going to be what catches people's eyes. Then they're going to read the title and then watch the video. So so this one here, I don't think it the 20.8% click-through rate, I don't think it got so many views at the moment, but I can't say how long it was. But when you look at the click-through rate, you don't want to look at it right after you've uploaded the video, a few days after you uploaded the video, to change it, for instance. But you want to wait at least a few days before the click-through rate settles down. My thumbnail design checklist. So just to go through some of these points, when you create a thumbnail, usually I take a photo while I'm creating my video. I'll take a photo, or if you've done a whole bunch of photos, you can just choose from one of those. And usually I show my face because I'm always talking in my videos. Then I'll use different expressions, or be smiling, or be sad, or surprised, or use different expressions that people are attracted by the eyes, the color of the eyes, the facial expressions, etc. So you can use that in your thumbnail. Sometimes 2 faces or even 3 faces of different people help to people to be attracted to the thumbnail. You also want to tell a story, so you don't want to necessarily repeat the title in your thumbnail. Sometimes you can break the rules, like even for this particular live stream, how to create an amazing thumbnail. Then I put in my thumbnail how to make an amazing thumbnail. So I kind of did repeat the title, but sometimes you got to break the rules. But overall, you don't want to repeat the title in the thumbnail, but choose something that piques the interest of the person looking at it. You want to use contrasting colors. Use 2 or 3 different colors, and you also want to saturate the colors, because you have to keep in mind that people are watching, looking at your thumbnail from the phone. So if you shrink it down to a small size, you want to take maybe a screenshot, shrink it down to a small size, and then put it alongside the top 5 or 10 thumbnails of your competitors, and see if it stands out from your competitors' thumbnails and how it appear. Does it still catch the eye? Does the text, does your face, does the object of the thumbnail still stand out even at a smaller size, like when people view it on their phones? So when you use text, then use bold text and large fonts, like perhaps 2 or 3 words. And then you also want to put the text on the left side so it doesn't doesn't get covered by the timestamp, which YouTube puts in the bottom right of the video, of the thumbnail. So yeah, saturate your colors. If you're using Photoshop, or I use Pixelmator these days. If you're using Canva, you can sharpen up your images and that helps for it to be seen at a at a small size. So make sure you use a high resolution. I don't think I put that in there. But yeah, I use a high resolution like 1920 by 1080 resolution, so really high resolution. And then when I shrink it down, then it still looks good. So sharpen it, saturate the colors a little bit, and make sure you don't have the timestamp covering your text. You also can use icons like arrows and circles to draw attention to the object. So if you say take a screenshot, or you put an image in your thumbnail, then you can put a red arrow or circle arrow, or you can use a circle to circle something. So if you do that, then say you do a screenshot of like your analytics, then you can put a red arrow, or you can do a red circle, and then when people see the thumbnail, automatically it draws the viewer to that particular object or what you want them to see. You also want to have consistent branding, so viewers know that the thumbnail is actually from your channel. So you can have branding colors. For me, I just use my face, so that's enough for a branding. But some people put a logo in the bottom left-hand corner, or they might use some particular feature there. And yeah, you want to aim for a click-through rate between 2 and 10%. The closer you get to 10%, or even above 10%, then you're doing really well. Or even if you get 4 or 5%, that's higher than 2%. So you definitely want to keep on striving to get a higher click-through rate with your thumbnails. And the higher, the better you can do, then if you get a high click-through rate, then you can even start replacing some of your old thumbnails that they're not getting much traffic. And so sometimes, if you find old videos that are several years old and you replace the thumbnail with a new thumbnail, that could then boost the traffic to that old video. I also want to think about what would make your audience click on your video versus your competitors' videos. So that's why, when you make your thumbnail, you want to look at the top 10 videos in your niche for that particular keyword phrase, and then maybe take a screenshot and then put your thumbnail next to those thumbnails. There's a tool called Morning Fame. I'm not sure if vidIQ or TubeBuddy does it too. With Morning Fame, you can quickly see how your thumbnail compares with your competitors' thumbnails, small size, regular size, etc., and also in dark mode or light mode. With TubeBuddy, you can use the Keyword Explorer tool and then click on the what is it? I think it's like competitors, so you can quickly see how the competitors' thumbnails look compared to yours. So if you use the Keyword Explorer tool, you can quickly check for that. But you want to, if you create, even if you have like a simple thumbnail, which we'll look at a few thumbnails later, even a simple thumbnail can even stand out from a beautiful, fancy thumbnail if all the thumbnails look alike. A few questions you should ask when making a thumbnail. What will the viewer get from watching the video? So your content has to support the title and the thumbnail. How do you want them to feel? So it's like, going to buy a car and the salesman says, well, I know you want a secondhand car, but why don't you just take a look at this brand new car and go for a drive and And so you go for a drive and you smell the newness of the car, and you experience the newness of the car. And so they really helped you to understand how you feel. You know, he'll say, how do you feel about driving the new car? And you like it so much you end up buying a new car and you mortgage your house, etc. So just because you had a great feeling about the new car compared to your old car. So how does the thumbnail make you feel? And what do you want for your viewer to take away from looking at the thumbnail? So those are the questions you should ask when you are making your thumbnail. And another test you can do, I read this in the, I don't know if you got this book, you can see it here, YouTube Formula. Daryl talks about the blink test. So you look at your thumbnail, you close your eyes, and then you open after a few seconds, and you look at your thumbnail, or look at all the thumbnails of your competitors and see where your eye is drawn. You know, which thumbnail immediately got your attention. So when you create a thumbnail, you want to create like 2 or 3 of them. So and then maybe ask a few of your friends, ask your wife, ask in a Facebook group to see, sometimes what you choose is very different to what other people choose or what my wife chooses. That's happened a few times. And then you can split test your thumbnails, which I'll talk about later. But split testing allows you to let the data make the decision which thumbnail got the most traffic. So based upon the data, then you can choose your original thumbnail, or you can choose the variation thumbnail. So the thumbnail should visually display the outcome that the viewer will get from watching the video. So the title of this live stream is How to Create an Amazing Thumbnail. So by the time you've left this live stream, you should know all the elements that go into creating an amazing thumbnail. So definitely ask these questions: what the viewer will get from watching your video, how do you want them to feel, and what do you want them to take away? Examples of thumbnails. So we've got Mr. Beast, who is probably one of the top YouTubers at the moment. And if you look at these thumbnails at the top, it's probably a bit small where you're looking at them, but this first thumbnail where he's in a sea of I think it's balloons or something like that, has got 17 million views. And then the other thumbnails, 18 million views, 23 million views. So those are some amazing thumbnails that he's created. Then Carter Shearer, the first one's got 1.2 million views, 3.5 million views, 1.4 million views, 1.8 million views, 1.2 million, 2 million, etc. And then we've also got, let's move this a bit, Brian Johnson. Some of you probably know him. So he's been creating unfancy thumbnails. So these are just very a good example of creating a super simple thumbnail like YouTube Secrets, just a red background and then white text. So any of you could easily create a thumbnail like that because it's super simple and it's not a fancy thumbnail. But the reason that it stands out is because probably all the other thumbnails are much more fancy, much more complicated, probably have a lot more elements in them. And so he's got this bright red background and then white text. So immediately your eye is drawn to that particular thumbnail. And then the title says, Tricks Big YouTubers Never Share. So that also makes you curious. And then another thumbnail, so that one says 237,000 views. And then the one next door, this one here, 271,000 views. YouTube Simplified which is just yellow background and a red background. And then the other ones before and after. So these are just super simple thumbnails, nothing fancy, but definitely catches the eye of the viewer. And so it's not just a thumbnail, but the click-through rate will depend on the topic. It has to be a topic your viewers are interested in. And then also the thumbnail, and then I would also say the first couple of lines of your description, because people are going to see the thumbnail, they're going to see the title, and also they can read the first couple of lines of your description. So all those things that come into view for the first time viewer will determine if that person is then going to click on your video and watch your video. Okay, even more thumbnail examples. Jesse Elder, so this is 2.17 views. So I just want to show you that because his thumbnail design is not just the regular square thumbnail design, but he's got this, kind of curved outer edges to his thumbnail, which makes it stand out from his competitors. So all his thumbnails here all are curved. So that's something different. Mark Rober, he's also a very popular YouTuber, 9.1 million views, real and then fake. So feeding Bill Gates a fake burger. So real and then fake. And then Porch Pirate, this one here, 29 million views. Magic Ball, 14 million views. Using drones to plant 20,000 trees, 9 million views. So yeah, some pretty creative thumbnails. Dan Locke is a entrepreneur and does some amazing thumbnails, which kind of similar, reminds me of Netflix thumbnails. So I often go to Netflix to get some ideas for great thumbnails. So that's another way you can get some ideas for really good thumbnails. But yeah, if you look at here, you've got 4 million views, 5 million views. So his thumbnails also really stand out. Okay, let's take a look at thumbnail creation tools. So Canva is probably one of the most popular ones. So I'm going to show you that in a minute, how to create a thumbnail using Canva. It's free. The paid option gives you a few more tools, and one tool they added recently is with the paid version, which I think is like $12.99 per month, is a background remover tool, so feature. So that comes in pretty handy. But you got Thumbnail Blaster, which is like I think $29 one time, and they give you a bunch of templates you can modify. They also have a split testing feature. You've got Snapper, which is another great thumbnail creation tool. You got Adobe Lightroom, which I think there's also an app for that. Pixelmator, which is what I use because I have a Mac. I think it's like $50 or $60 one time, but you got Pixelmator and Pixelmator Pro. So I use kind of both of those to create thumbnails. A new one is Placeit, which has a lot of templates for thumbnails, and it has multiple you can create your YouTube banners and icons, and so it has a lot of thumbnails, etc. GIMP is another one, and Pixlr, PicMonkey are also some others. So my question to you is, what do you use for creating your thumbnail? Put that in the chat, or if you're watching a replay, put that in the comments. It'd be kind of interesting to know. You could also use Capwing. That's another one it's free, and you can also create your thumbnail from scratch. You can use images, etc. And it's an online video editor tool, and online image editing and creation tool as well. Some phone apps, Canva has an app that you can use, and you've also got Snapseed, which is a great app for modifying your images. If you take a photo, then you can do different things with Snapseed. Oh, I mentioned it twice. Fonto is another good one, Pixel Lab, and InShot. InShot's great for taking a photo, like a square photo, and then you can rescale it quickly to use it for Instagram, Facebook, etc. So you can do that all on your phone. Harley says that he uses Photoshop, not on the list. Wow, can't believe I missed that out, but probably because I don't use it. I tried it once, but I found it too complicated. But yeah, Photoshop is a big one, so I'm glad I got that in there. Okay, how to make a great thumbnail using Canva. Canva is free, so you just go to canva.com, and then you can basically, all you have to do is search for YouTube thumbnail in the search box. Then you select the template. You can modify the template, or you can start from scratch. You customize the template to your liking, download the thumbnail, and then upload it to YouTube. So you can make it very quickly, and it's an online tool. And they've added, since I used it last, which was quite a while back, they've added a lot more tools. So let me show you a quick video clip on how to use Canva. Go to canva.com and click Create a Design, or you can use a custom size. Click Create a Design, and if I enter YouTube, then I can choose a YouTube thumbnail. Then I can choose any of these template designs and modify the template design. We're going to start from scratch, so I'm just going to choose a color. So I'll click on background. I'm going to click on this blue here. So I've got a blue background. At the top here, I've got effects. So if I want to remove the background, I can use the background remover, which is means I have to upgrade to the Canva Pro version, I think it is. Yeah, so try Canva Pro for free for 30 days, so I could do that. I can also do duotone. I can give my image a pixelated look, apply bad TV effects. I can do a color mix, apply glitch effects to the image, apply liquify effects to the image, apply screen effects, apply slice effects, add a shadow around the image, add a frame to the image. So I can also import some photos. So I could choose from all these photos here. So I could use the background, photos, blue background, photos, and then I've also got elements, shapes, arrows, circles, gradients, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, icons, etc. So I'm going to upload an image of myself. Here's an image, and just move the handles to enlarge it to fit the image. It looks a bit pale, so if I go up to effects, if I go up to filter, then I could use a different filter. If I go to adjust, then I can adjust the brightness, adjust the contrast, saturation, tint, can blur it, can do X process and vignette. Also crop it, and I can also flip it. So I could flip horizontal, I can flip vertical, and I can also position it. So I could position it to left, center, right, move it forward, move it backward, etc. So now I'm just going to add some text. So I'm going to add text, and I just choose a heading. So I can change the font and just go up here, and I could choose a font like Norwester, for instance, and I could enlarge it, get the click like so, enlarge text. If I click effects, then I could do a curve, I could do neon, I can adjust the intensity, do a hollow, shadows, lift, and I can also change the font size, text color, and align it, etc. If I want to add an element, I can just go to Elements. Let's do a rectangle. Choose this rectangle here. Move it behind, move the handles, and this makes my text stand out a little better. And here's a very simple thumbnail, but you could do a lot more with it if you wish to. After finished making your thumbnail, just click Download. You can download it as a PNG, which is suggested, or you can download it as a JPEG, which has a smaller file size. So I'll choose JPEG and just click Download. And here's my thumbnail is downloaded to my computer, ready to upload to YouTube. Okay, that gives you kind of an idea on how to create a custom thumbnail using Canva, which is free. So it's not a complicated or fancy thumbnail, but I just thought I'd show you the process. So if any of you that are watching the video have never created a thumbnail or are wondering what tool to use, then this is free. You can just modify a template or start from scratch, and you can make your thumbnail very quickly. You can save your thumbnail, and if you wanted to use the background remover tool, then you just upgrade to the pro version of Canva, and you can quickly remove the background of any image. Say you take an image with your phone, you want to remove the background, then you can just use that, or you can use a background remover tool. I think it's called remove.bg. So you could use that as well. Here's another thumbnail tool. I mentioned Thumbnail Blaster. I think it's a one-time fee, like $29, something like that. If you go to drossvideo.com/thumbnail blaster, that's my affiliate link. But this uses new AI technology. So basically, you select a template, a bit like Canva. You click it, edit it, customize it, and then you're going to publish and get the traffic. So just in 3 clicks, you create a thumbnail. So the good thing about Thumbnail Blast is they have amazing templates, and they also have the ability to split test your thumbnails. So you can make 2 different thumbnails and then use the split testing feature to see which one gets the most traffic. Then you're going to select the original one or the variation thumbnail, bit like in TubeBuddy. So TubeBuddy has that feature as well. So if you want to try, take a look at that at drossvideo.com/thumbnail blaster. Okay, let's take a look at how to check your impressions and click-through rate on YouTube. So all you have to do is, for an individual video, you just go into your analytics for that individual video, click on the Reach tab, and at the top you'll see impressions and impressions click-through rate. So I showed you before, this is one of my highest click-through rates on this video. So it got 11.1% click-through rate, and it's currently getting like 1,200 views every 24-48 hours. So so that's how you can find the click-through rate for a particular video of yours. And then you can also do it by traffic source. So if you want to see the click-through rate by drilling down into the traffic source, then you can just go into see more and then click on any of these traffic sources, and then it'll see impressions click-through rate. And so here you've got YouTube search, 13.9% click-through rate, suggested videos 3.2%. So obviously the YouTube search click-through rate is higher than suggested videos, because YouTube search has a more higher viewer intent. It's people they're looking for something based upon their search intent, and then they go into YouTube search and they find the video. Whereas suggested videos is they're just browsing through YouTube, they'll see it on the right side, or they'll see it under the video they're watching the YouTube app, and then they might click on it. So that's why the click-through rate is not as high as the click-through rate that you would get from YouTube search, like in this particular case. Some metrics that you should know referring to click-through rate, you got the impressions, which is how many times your thumbnails were shown to viewers on YouTube through registered impressions. So YouTube, when you first upload a video, then they're going to show your thumbnail to a certain audience, and then if people click on it, then that is your impressions click-through rate. So how often viewers watch the video after they saw your thumbnail, they saw that impression, and then you're going to get that impressions click-through rate. Unique viewers is the estimated number of people that watched your content within the selected date range. This could be 28 days, 90 days, 1 year, or a particular year. Views is obvious, a number of legitimate views from your channels or videos. Then views from impressions are views which originated from the impressions for the selected date range. Then watch time, which is another huge ranking factor along with click-through rate, is the amount of time that a viewer has watched the video. So if they watched 5 minutes of a 10-minute video, then your watch time is going to be 50%, or like 50% average view duration. So it gives you a sense of what content the viewers actually watch. So if you look at your audience retention graph, then you can find these dips and these spikes in your audience retention graph. It'll tell you exactly where people started leaving, or maybe they rewound the video to watch more of your video. And then watch time is watch time that originated from impressions for the selected date range. So those are all some metrics that you should know about. Then what is impressions and how they led to watch time? So if you go to your YouTube analytics and click on the reach tab, you'll see this impressions and how they led to watch time. So YouTube says you can increase the chance of YouTube suggesting your content by increasing your click-through rate and your video watch time. So you got the impressions here. So in this case, I've got 86,000 impressions and 11.1% click-through rate. Then views from the impressions, 9.7%. So basically it's taking the number of impressions and then dividing it by views. So that will give you your impressions click-through rate. And then you got watch time from the impressions. Where impressions counted. So not just, most of it comes from YouTube that's on computers, TVs, game consoles, and from your phone, whether it's Android, iPad, iPhone, etc. YouTube search, YouTube homepage, YouTube feeds, so from your subscriptions feed, trending tab, history, and watch later, and also up next recommendations on the right side of the video player, and then also including autoplay. And then also from your playlists. And then impressions that are not counted are going to be from external websites. So it's going to be from Google search, from, if you got a website, you got social media sites, YouTube mobile website, YouTube Kids app, YouTube music app, content within the video player. So like cards and end screens, email list. So you send your video to your email list, push notifications, videos that play in the background tab, and then also videos whose thumbnails are less than 50% visible or visible with less than 1 second. So if your thumbnails are visible they only see half of it, or they only see it for less than 1 second, it's not counted. And then also from video discovery ads. So those are all the places where impressions are not counted. What drives impressions? So when you upload a video, YouTube starts surfacing it to relevant audiences, all those people that have already watched your previous videos, maybe based upon their browsing behavior, etc. So it takes all these factors into account, and then YouTube is going to surface it to the most relevant audience. And then based upon many different factors, YouTube figures out which viewers are most likely to watch the video. So it could be people that previously watched your video, people that have watched similar videos, and then YouTube's system will continue to surface the video to audiences as long as it remains on YouTube. So if a lot of people start clicking on your video and watching the video, that sends a clear signal to YouTube that people are interested in this content, and therefore, you might see if you get a lot of views and a high click-through rate, high watch time, then that means your video is going out to a wider audience. So when you first upload a video, then YouTube will surface it to a particular audience, relevant audience. And then if your audience loves the video and watches the video, then YouTube's going to send it out to a wider audience. And then maybe if it goes viral, then for sure that people really love that video. So if you find videos on your channel that have got a lot of traffic, that are getting a lot of traffic, then double down on those videos and try to make a similar video so you can get people coming back to watch more of your content. Why are my impressions and click-through rate low? So it's not every time that a viewer sees the video thumbnail will count as an impression. So just as I mentioned before, if it's from a website, from your email list, it's not going to be counted as an impression. Older videos may have more impressions since they'll continue to be surfaced to audiences as long as they're on YouTube. So sometimes when you upload a video, it won't get many views, but over time, over weeks and months, the viewing behavior may change for some viewers, and they may start watching your video, and suddenly you get a lot of traffic coming to that video. So I've got videos that maybe got a couple hundred views in the beginning, but then weeks and months down the road, they're getting thousands of views. So therefore, it's worth not deleting old videos. Then you want to look at the first 7 days after you upload your video to compare the impressions data for your different videos. So you might want to replace your thumbnail after a few days. But as your videos become more popular, they're going to be shown to a wider audience beyond your core viewers, because when you first upload a video, then your subscribers, people that have watched your previous videos, are going to be watching that video. So you're going to get that high view velocity in the beginning, and you're going to have a high click-through rate. But then as all your subscribers have finished watching your video in the first 24, 48 hours, your click-through rate will start decreasing. And so, that's why you want to see what your click-through rate is only after a couple of days. And then look at your traffic sources report to see the click-through rate by traffic source, which we looked at earlier. Is it coming from YouTube search? Is it coming from suggested? And as I showed you previously in that example, YouTube search got a higher click-through rate because viewers have a higher viewer intent rather than the casual viewing behavior that people see, based upon suggested videos or browse traffic, etc. Click magnet power ranking. So if you want to see which videos have got a high click-through rate, you can use YouTube Analytics, but the TubeBuddy tool called Click Magnet, now this is, I think, in the Legend version, it shows you the power rankings of your videos. So which videos are getting the highest click-through rate. So this one here, 11.1% click-through rate. It shows you the watch time. It shows you the clicks. And then this here, how to make YouTube Shorts on a computer, 9.668% click-through rate. Watch time, clicks 9.2%, 9.25%, 1,000 clicks. And so over here it says, if you want to grow your channel faster, focus on making videos similar to the top ranking videos. So these, I would also look at these thumbnails, and maybe I can try to create similar thumbnails because these thumbnails are getting a high click-through rate. And I can create similar videos on similar topics to capitalize on these videos. So recently my last video, I made a video talking about how to get more views via YouTube Shorts. So that was based upon looking at the high click-through rate based upon the click magnet, these power rankings. So that's a pretty handy tool from TubeBuddy. And you can also look at the click-through rate opportunities. So these videos are performing well based upon watch time, impressions, average view duration, but they have a low click-through rate. Therefore, I could change the thumbnail and boost the click-through rate because they're already getting a high average view duration, high number of impressions. So YouTube says if you get a high click-through rate, high watch time, then your video will do well in search and suggested. So these videos, as you can see, low click-through rate, 3.24%, 3.17%. So if I redesigned the thumbnail and split test the thumbnail and got a higher click-through rate, then they would actually attract more traffic. So that's another great feature of the Click Magnet tool in TubeBuddy. Let's look at some thumbnail mistakes. So using too much text, you only want to use a few words, or you only want to, sometimes if you can create a thumbnail that doesn't have any text and it does well, that's even better. Don't use blurry images, use sharp images. Don't use too many colors, maybe 2 or 3 colors. Don't use a screenshot, try to take a picture of yourself or a picture of the object that you're talking about in your video. Don't put your text in the bottom right where the timestamp will cover your image or cover the text. Don't repeat the title in your thumbnail. Look at it when it's viewed at a small size and make sure the objects or yourself or the text looks very sharp and can easily be viewed at a small size when it's viewed on your phone. Don't use clickbaity images because it's against YouTube's terms of service. So make sure the image tells the story of what takes place in your content. And therefore, you don't want to violate any community guidelines. So you can use something like the Cloud Vision tool from Google and see if it violates, if it has any violence in it, pornography, these types of things. And don't just settle on your current click-through rate. Always try to improve your click-through rate because if you improve your click-through rate, then more people will click on your video. Avoid making decisions without enough data. So analyze your click-through rate only after getting a substantial number of impressions. So you can go into YouTube Analytics and maybe getting thousands of impressions. So don't change your thumbnail before you've got enough data to make a clear decision. So that's why the thumbnail split testing tool is really great for that. Avoid analyzing your click-through rate immediately. And then YouTube also says that a higher click-through rate alone is not a strong indicator of success. So you also got to look at your average view duration, your watch time, audience retention. So these two factors, the click-through rate and the audience retention, you try to increase both of these as the main ranking factors, then your videos will do well. So is it easy? Definitely not. But that's why, try to improve it by 1% on every new video that you upload. Thumbnail best practices. Think about your thumbnail even before you create the content for your video. And so you want to create several different thumbnails so you can split test them. Make a high resolution thumbnail. I used 1920 by 1080. Keep it on the 2 megabyte limit because otherwise it won't upload to YouTube. You want to zoom in on your thumbnail and zoom out of your thumbnail to see if it looks good at a small size and also at the large size. And you also want to see if your thumbnail stands out amongst your competitors' thumbnails. So as I mentioned before, screenshot the top 10 or top 5 thumbnails of your competitors for your particular keyword phrase, then put your thumbnail next to those thumbnails and see if it stands out. Do the blink test, so close your eyes, then open your eyes and see if your eye immediately goes to your thumbnail instead of your competitors' thumbnails, because that's how people are going to see it when they see those suggested videos on the right side of the video that they're just watching, and it will determine if their eye will go to your video thumbnail instead of the others. Change your thumbnail if it falls below 2%. So the average click-through rate is between 2 and 10%. So if it's below 2%, think about changing your thumbnail and replacing it with a better thumbnail. And then if you see that you get a high click-through rate for your video, then double down on that particular thumbnail that got a high click-through rate and make more of that particular style. So look at the elements that made up that thumbnail. You can also check your competitors' thumbnails and look at the elements that they're using that got thousands of views and try to incorporate some of those. So you could use arrows, circles, different images, colors, all these different elements that go into the thumbnail. If you want to download my free thumbnail checklist, 10 ways to make your thumbnail stand out from your competitors, you can go to drossvideo.com/thumbnail checklist. And you can also watch these related videos. The first one is how to split test your different thumbnails. And the second one is how to make a thumbnail using the thumbnail tool, Thumbnail Blaster.